Coming to you from New York City. Bringing the video podcast for global Filipinos around the world. Watch and listen as we speak and get to know different celebrities, icons, influencers, and inspiring people. Join Jesse Dang and Jay Cass as they talk about anything and everything while bridging the gap between Filipinos of different generations and genres of choice. This is Over a Glass or Two.
May hangover pa po kami ngayon. Kumusta po kayong lahat? Kumusta ka, J-Cas? Bakit si J-Cas, ano naman, blurry naman, pixelated, what's going on? Nakikita mo direct, okay ba? Oo nga, ba't ganun, no? So anyways, kumusta po kayong lahat? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening po sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa buong Pilipinas, sa buong mundo, especially po sa mga taga-TFC subscribers sa Filipino Channel. I want TFC, of course. Of course, ang FYE Channel in Kumu, Facebook, YouTube, and mga pasahero ng Jeepney TV sa buong Pilipinas. J-Cas, ikaw naman, go!
Yes, tama ka dyan. Kahit po kami ay hilo-hilo pa. Ngayong more night. Good more night po. Galing dito po sa Brooklyn. Good more night po sa lahat mga Filipinos and non-Filipinos. In different time zones, in different dimensions, in different continents, in different galaxies, in this whole wide universe.
First!
Ayan, papagising po yan. Para sa amin, hindi
grabe,
po para sa inyo.
amin. Grabe, no? Kasi nga na-miss natin we have a friend actually a couple of our bear friends, di ba, bear talaga, from, they live in New York City and then they move to California and then nagbakasyon dito. So na-miss namin sila. So talagang it's been 2 weeks na we've always hanging out with them. And now, last night nandito sila sa bahay until 4:30 a.m. Nag-party kami. And now, we're kind of have like tipsy ng konti. Pero it's okay. It's so worth it, no? Sarap ng mag-party. And speaking of party, ang aming guest ngayon, excited ako. Ang daming, talagang Pinoy proud. Tapos, kaka-party ko rin to lagi. Kami ni Rachel at ni Direk Rachel Alejandro. Sayang, Jay, kasi hindi mo pa namimito in person eh.
At makikita ko na siya in person, finally.
Sa Halloween party. Yes. Excited po kaming ipakilala sa inyo and marami kayong matututunan. Especially yung mga Fil-Ams and not non-Fil-Ams na gustong, who wants to venture into the film industry, 'di ba? So, marami po kayong matututunan. So, tune in po, 'di ba? Nawala si J-Cas, nasan si J-Cas? J-Cas magbayad kasi ng ng internet joke. Hindi, nagbabayad pero dapat paanuhin. Tawag dito, mag-add, you have to add more. Ano ba nangyari kay J-Cas na wala? Ayan si J-Cas. I love your headband, J-Cas. Nawawala si J-Cas. Bakit, direct? Ha? Okay na. J-Cas, can you hear us? J-Cas?
Ayan, naririnig mo ba ako?
Oo nga eh. Ay, hindi tayo naririnig.
Yung connection ko dito sa Brooklyn, merong may hangover din. Ano ba
may
yan?
Hangover
Can you hear and see me now?
Yes. Loud and clear, Roger. So anyways,
Ayan.
i-introduce ko na po ang ating special guest for this more night. Ayan. Our special guest for this more night is a force to be reckoned with in film, television, and stage production, both in the U.S. and Asia. Born in San Francisco, lived a couple of years in Manila, and raised in New York City. She has been an actress since the age of 2, with her first walk-in role with her mom, veteran actress Lorelie Villanueva, in Lino Broca's Maynila sa Kuko ng Liwanag. She's now running Sitting Cat production with several films released including Sam, S-A-M, no? Kasi capital S-A-M, directed by Nicholas Brooks. She also serves as the executive director and head of programming of Soho International Film Festival, which is it just happened like September, like last month lang. Yan. Let's get to know better the Filipino American boss lady that we'll surely be proud of. Guys, please welcome Miss Sibyl Santiago. Woohoo! Kamusta, sis?
Okay lang, my God, that intro is so awesome. You guys have so much energy. I love it.
I know, lagi naman ganito eh. Parang
Ayan.
pag lagi tayong gumigimik, yan. Kasi po,
I love it.
friend na po talaga namin, a good friend of ours, is si Sibyl Santiago. Talagang, I'm so glad that, like God made sure that our path will cross again after meeting you 15 years ago. I think, or
No,
10, 12
it
years.
hasn't been that long. No.
Wait, like 10
Nagkita
years
ba
ago?
kayo years ago?
What, 10
Well,
years ago?
Ano
12 years ago?
Has it? Hindi naman siguro. I don't know. See, I don't know. I
I
hate
think
to say it.
10 years.
But since the pandemic, medyo parang blurry yung timeline
Yes,
sa akin.
I think
That's
it
like
was
3 years in between, this 3 years that kind of semi-existed
Yes.
or not
No.
existed in our lives.
Okay,
But
I think 10
Yeah,
years ago,
not that
because you
long.
met my son. We bought our son when he was like a year and a half. So
been
he's 12 now. Yeah, it's been that long.
holy cannoli, that is
Yeah,
crazy.
sige, we'll discuss about it. Di ba ang galing
Oh my
ng
God.
Diyos, no? Imagine mo, na-meet lang kita sa isang guesting, like, di
Yeah,
ba?
we did
Makalala
get
TV.
together. It
And
was
now,
you, me, and my mom.
and
you
your
know, so-
mom. And
Yeah.
then, nag-click lang tayo, we started talking, and then after so many years, biglang, boom, di ba? Our
But we
path
keep
have
in
crossed
touch naman
again.
which is nice because I always
Exactly.
every now and then I'll see you be like, oh, Jesse's doing this and doing that. It's kind of cool. I love watching awesome, amazing Fil-Ams like doing their thing. So it's
I
really
know, no? Okay. Bago tayo mag-start magchikahan, sabi ni Direk, huy, mag-hi muna si Sibyl sa buong mundo na nanonood, especially sa mga
Hello.
TFC subscribers. Go ahead, Sibyl.
Sige, hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I said, ano yung sabi niyo ni good more night?
More night. Good more night.
More
Yes,
night.
yes, yes.
I love that word. Okay, I'm gonna adapt that. I'm gonna steal that.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm so excited to be here, and hello to everyone. I hope that we can talk about something fun and interesting for you guys to listen to. Sana naman,
Definitely.
it'll be nice, yeah.
Oo nga eh. Madami kaming matututunan. Ako, I've learned so much eh. Whenever like Sibyl and I, we hang out with Rachel, no? Kasi kami, trio kami niyan. Kami ni Rachel and Sibyl.
Kaya
Rachel
nga nainggit ako
Alejandro.
kasi I always hear about Sibyl and I see you in pictures pero hindi nagkakatugma na I could join you guys. But finally, I will be able to see you personally, di ba? Of
And
all
it's gonna be so much fun.
of all times pa Halloween, di ba?
Halloween party. Baka hindi mo siya ma-recognize kasi iba na. Yung hair niya parang
Yun din
Rapunzel, ganon.
Diyan malakas yung powers ko pa sa ganyan pag bilog ang buwan at saka pag mga madidilim na elemento na
Oo, magkukulam
umaaligid eh.
siya, in short.
Parang ganyan.
Ang galing naman, I love it.
I know, no? So anyways, sige,
Share
Sibyl.
lang ha, paki-share ng energy na yon, Jay.
Yes. Sibyl, do you have anything to drink? O ano ka, may iniinom ka, girl?
Cheers.
Ayan.
Cheers.
Ayan. Kasi meron kaming protocol dito eh. Tapos mamaya we'll have a photo op. Ayan. So anyways, we have to welcome you sa Sangbayan ng Pilipinas po at sa aming Dearest USA. Guys, let's all welcome Miss Sibyl Santiago. Welcome to Over a Glass, or Two.
Cheers, guys.
Ayan, dapat daw nag-cheers as we have to look at, 'di ba? Sa ating mga mata nagtitinginan, otherwise bad sex, 'di ba?
Yeah, kaya nga eh.
Ano ka ba? Ayoko,
ba to?
wala nga akong ganun eh. Tapos bad pa. Wag
I know.
naman.
Ay, pag-uusapan natin yan over like
Medyo
a
ano
dozen
po,
of bottles.
Mga kaibigan, medyo dry po sa desierto ngayon. Ang huli ko pa po ay April pa.
Of what year?
Why this year naman? At
This
saka
year.
ano pa?
Akala ko naman.
Oo.
Akala ko naman
Ano siya?
2019 pa. Okay, go.
Oo. Ano siya, matured na puti na may sarili siyang salon dyan sa city.
Oh my God,
Manila.
kwento talaga.
At saka,
Kilala ko, fan.
grabe. At saka si Bill, ang laki-laki talaga. Grabe ang laki. ang laki na flat iron na ginagamit niya sa salon niya.
Flat iron naman pala. So anyways,
Akala ko
Sibyl,
laki ng apartment.
ng apartment.
Oo.
Ay, malaki rin yung apartment niya. He won it in a
Okay.
New York lotto. Yung lottery. Ang swerte
No
niya.
way.
Lottery na apartment. Yeah, he
Yeah,
won.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is a thing here in New York. Yeah, that is a thing in New York. You know what's
Is
so
it?
funny? I just recently I won a lottery for one of those that I applied to back when I was like, in my single years, in my younger years as an actor. Like I applied for one of those things, and I recently, like maybe the last 3 years, heard from them. And I applied like maybe 20 years ago. So
Pwede
I'm-
pala yun?
Oo.
Teka,
yeah.
wait lang. Before, ito naman si Direk nag-interrupt joke. So anyways, before natin pag-usapan yan, wait So, meron kaming rito, screenshot, photo op. Yan.
Picture muna pala tayo.
Okay,
Kasi
go.
we will forget.
Oo. Yes, we will forget. Okay, go. 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Wait. Ano yun? What do you mean? Like, merong lottery talaga? I didn't
Yeah,
know about
like I
that.
think may mga developments in New York. I used to my day job when I was acting. My starting out days, I had to have a day job kasi diba when you're passionate about the artist side, unfortunately, it doesn't always pay. So you have to have a day job. So my day
Yes.
job was real estate, and that's when I found out about this that there's a lot of developments in New York City that's partly owned by the city and partly owned by developers. So they're required to have a certain percentage of that building for quote unquote low income, right? So if it's like someone that makes like a certain, like, I don't know, I think 60 or 40 and below kind of thing, then you're qualified for like 20% of that building. It could be like the fanciest luxury building, but the only way the city would give them the permit to build it is if they agree that 20% of the building, they call it 80-20, the 20% goes to people with, the lower income range, so that it's like, housing equality, right? So
Yeah,
what happens
parang
because it's
ganyan.
such a small percentage, and a lot of they make it a lottery. So you apply for it, and then when it comes available, of course, people who live in those never leave. They don't ever want to
Oh,
leave.
yes. Oh, yeah. I will
Every
not.
now and then they come up. So yeah, kaya lottery.
Pwede pala yun. So parang you're living in like a luxury place tapos they
Pero
didn't know
kung
that.
tutuusin, hindi mo naman
that you
talaga
just
afford
won
yung
the
tunay na
luxury.
price niya. Pero you're
Until
given a
now, they still
percentage.
do that? They still do that? Until
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
They do. Yeah, because
It's a
some
privilege
of the
of New York.
Exactly. It's a privilege of New York, and you're right, JCAS, and it's really a great program, really, because then at least fair, it's like fair housing. They call it fair housing here. Kaya lang, syempre, it's also not as many available, but when it's there, you gotta just like jump on it and be on top of it. Like I have a friend who has like a gorgeous 2-bedroom spread, like in like almost by Fifth Avenue with a gorgeous view of the park. It just so happens that's a building that was 80-20, and he got it, so he's never gonna leave. I think.
But wait, so 100% of the luxury buildings there, so they offer that 80-20 or no?
No, not all. No, not all. It's certain
Okay.
properties.
Yeah.
So certain developers are given. Basically, the city encourages them that if they do that, then they'll get more. I don't know, tax breaks, things that they give benefits from the city if they do the 20%. So the city makes it enticing for developers that when they build, like, for example, the next like 100-foot or 100-floor, residential property, they'll allow them to do like, to build at a certain location if they allow at least 20% of it, for people that, especially people who lived in the area, who's been, like, they have an artist program actually for like artists, like up and coming artists, like if you need to go into the lottery program, and they do it for handicap or like,
know.
senior and stuff, senior housing. So it's, yeah. So there's some lot of
God,
properties
good to
here in the Upper
know.
East Side that has that's like that. So if you're lucky enough to get in one of those, you don't ever want to leave because
Oh, I will never ever leave. I'm like, whatever you you can
Teka,
drag
nakikinig ako kay
me.
Sibyl. Ang talino ni Sibyl. I can
Oh,
I can
yes.
just listen to you all day. Ngayon, you sound like a true real estate agent naman.
I know, right?
out of the many hats that you have.
Oh my gosh, she wears so many hats, no? Pero Sibyl, okay. So for those people that because ito in Overglasser too po, we don't just, because a lot of people think like, oh, you only interview like celebrities. No, we have like 300 plus episodes already since we started in 2020, pandemic started. So we not just only interview celebrities, of course yung mga Fil-Ams with, of course, inspiring stories. And, of course, isa na po doon si Sibyl Santiago. Grabe,
Hindi
imagine.
ako
Pero,
celebrity. Chekas, hindi pala ako celebrity. I'm
Hindi, hindi,
sad.
oh, no, yun nga. Ayun nga. Hindi, wait. Girl,
Ikaw
I
naman.
got you. I got you, girl. That's what I'm about to say. I got you. Pero, nagkataon po, celebrity din po si Sibyl. Artista rin po siya.
What I'm saying is this.
Kaya,
Yung, alam mo yung mga, kasi
I'm
diba parang
kidding. Oh my
mainstream, diba? Na tipong mga,
I know.
yung mga Gary Valenciano, Boy Abunda, mga Vilma
ini-SF ka
Santos.
lang ni ano,
And
si
then, meron kaming, actually,
Right?
ito yung sinabi ko kay Sibyl. Sabi ko, I think ang Overglasser to right now, we want to pivot to not just like the Fil-Am celebrities. We want to pivot to, of course, like, Sibyl Santiago, like, hindi pala, Fil-Am hindi eh. Filipino celebrities lang eh. And now we want to pivot to Fil-Am celebrities naman talagang in the US, right? Or Filipinos all over the world that, who makes Filipino proud, diba? So, of course, Sibyl is
Kasi
one of
naman
those.
it makes sense because I mean
Yes.
even I want TFC, even TFC, like it's global, right? And
Yes,
we're
yes, yes.
everywhere. Like
Yes.
it's really amazing that when you travel the world, you find that there's like you always bump into a Filipino, which is always my proudest moment. Like I
Yes.
remember my first time in Iceland and bumping into a Filipino family, and I'm like, "You guys live here?" And they're like, "Yeah, like they're multi-generational there already." So I'm like, "How?" Like I don't even. To me, I didn't connect from Philippines how you end up in Iceland because
Right?
weather alone is like two completely different worlds. But we're there and there's like a big community there. So I'm always really proud and amazed, like, how far diaspora goes. It's really pretty exciting. I
That's
mean,
why,
this
that's
is why we need representation, guys, because we are
Exactly,
everywhere.
exactly.
correct.
Yeah.
That's why, alam mo, Sibyl, I'm so proud of you, especially when you and Justin, right? Because we want to have an interview too with Justin, diba? With Justin. So we're proud of you guys. Kasi when I first, like when Sibyl and I started, like we became closer and closer. I was like when she was telling me the story, narrating the story about how you guys made Soho Film Festival from scratch, and now it's like you guys are up there. And nagulat ako kasi sabi mo, we want to make sure that Filipino artists, producers, actors and actresses, like you want to make sure that nandun sa mapa ang mga Filipinos, no? And you always give chance, diba?
Yeah.
Yung mga, especially yung mga Filipino actors na FilAm actors na they've only been dreaming to be on the Hollywood or at least international in the US, pero no one want to give them a chance, but Soho Film Festival did, right?
Yeah,
Kwento
we
mo nga,
try.
Sibyl. Yeah, paano nag-start to? Kwento mo. Kwento muna yung story ni Sibyl Santiago. Yan.
Me, okay, me.
Yes.
Okay, that's an interesting one. Kasi I think my mom is, in terms of the Filipino audiences, maybe they'll remember her, Lorly Villanueva, Maxima
Yes.
Labandera, the auntie
We
of
love
Sharon.
her.
I know, auntie of Sharon
Yes.
Cuneta in between Walang Ningning, or, as the auntie of Leia. It's funny because I was the baby that she had during the time where her career was kind of crazy busy. My mom is a founding member of PETA as well. So her friends are like, Cecile Gedote, of course, Lino Broca. So like these are her
Yes.
barcadas, so Cortita Mitch, Valdez, and all of that. Like this was like her circle and her world. So there's always the theater world and the film world, right? But when Lino started directing stuff, like a lot of their projects were always the same actors that was also in the theater company. Like some movies, they might be leads, and other movies, they might be extras, but it's literally their theater company. It's such a beautiful, like, how we talk about having your tribe? They had a tribe. Like that's like what I always aspire to having, surrounding yourself with the good people that really support you. In terms of me, where I come in is that when my mom had me at that time, I was the baby because she was so busy. I was the baby that was with her backstage, with her, like, and like when she's filming. That's why I was in Manila. I was a baby, but at Manila, when they were shooting that, she was a mom. She was still like
Yes.
a mom, no matter what. Like she always like had, taking care of the children. So she would have me on set with her. So I think it was almost natural. Tito Lino, like at that time, was just like, let's make sure she goes in there with Bemble and like, walk on. Like I was barely walking, but they got me to walk in, in one scene because my mom happened to be in that film as well. So it's like one of those kind of, sort of, that's how the story started. And then I'm the one. So my mom, my mom actually has 7 kids. But from the kids,
Wait, you
two of
guys, I
us,
didn't know, 7?
my mom has 7 kids.
Wow, ang
7
dami.
siblings?
I
Oh my
know.
God.
Well, she was
Mommy
married.
Loli
And you
has
were like
seven
that.
I know.
children,
Are you in the
seven
middle or?
children.
So
I,
technically, I'm in the middle, but in terms of like growing up, because my mom, she was divorced with her first husband and she had 3 kids. But when she had me, I had my 3 younger sisters that I grew up with. So I kind of grew up like the eldest for me and my 3 younger sisters, till we reconnected with everyone later on. But it's just interesting because from all her kids, 2 of us kind of went into this world. My sister Donna became a theater actress, and she's really well celebrated there and has done a lot of stuff in the Philippines. And I was doing PETA training there, and then had to come back here. I was born here actually. Mom brought me there when I was a baby, or when I was younger, I should say, a toddler, and then came back here. So I had to come back here, but got started acting there already in the Philippines, doing PETA Children's Theater, doing Kulit Bulilit. I was in Flor de Luna, like doing like
wait,
those little
wait,
younger
wait,
roles.
what age were you? So you were born, I know you were born in the US, and then
Yeah.
what age were you when you went back to the
I
Philippines?
think mom took me there. I mean, she must have taken me as a baby and then come back here, but I know she brought me back there probably as a toddler. I would think like around
Oh,
maybe, yeah,
okay.
because I started acting, in the children's theater. And then, like I said, there was the show Kulit Bulilit that we were in, and I did a little bit of Kaluskos Musmos. And then Flor de Luna came, which was like a regular role for me. I was like the youngest member of the crew at that time, and I was doing that for a bit. And then I think mom was just kind of, she wanted, because it was distracting, because in the Philippines, when you're in a show, especially in a series, you're literally shooting every day, and then you have school every day. So I think it got a little bit tough because I'm always getting picked up before school ends. I have to leave because I have to get to set, and then I have to come back. And for a young kid, she didn't like that I have basically not
Okay.
sleeping. I don't sleep anymore, or anyway. But so I think, and then she decided to bring me back here because it was a little bit too much, I think. But then, of course, it's in your blood, it's in your soul. So I come back here.
Yes.
I'm in a theater company, I'm in a dance company, and it doesn't
So,
stop because
what age were
there you
you when
go.
you moved to from the Philippines? What age were you when you moved to the
Came back
US?
here. I think I came back just a little bit after freshman, so like second, sophomore year,
High school.
or high school. Yeah,
Oh, that's the reason why you still know how to speak Tagalog.
I learned
Ah.
Tagalog
Teka,
and Ilonggo
teka,
and
Sibyl,
Ilonggo?
balik,
Wow. Okay.
balik tayo dun sa ano, yung na-mention mo yung
I know
walk-in
mahaba
ka lang sa
yung origin story ko eh.
I
Oh
know,
yeah, I know.
right?
No, we
Okay.
love your origin story.
Sorry.
'Di ba? Yung sa Maynila sa Kuko ng Liwanag, do you remember that pa o hindi na?
Not really until I saw the pictures, and it's funny because I was in Cannes in 2000, I want to say 2013, and they actually had it at Classic Cannes, and I happened to be there that year, so I got to see Hilda was there, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe the film is here, and I got to see myself walk into the screen. But yeah, I never saw it till actually that time. I only saw
Wow, yung
photos.
remastered na siya. Wow, ha.
Remastered.
Wow. And
Yeah.
by the way, ha, Jcas, ha, Sibyl was also included in Flor de Luna. I don't know. I'm not so
Hindi,
sure, guys, if you know Flor de
hindi yung
Luna.
sinasabi nga niya kanina eh, 'di ba? Yung sa Flor de Luna, ito lahat ha. Somehow hindi ko alam, hindi ko naman kayo kaedad, pero naalala
Yeah,
ko
right.
na itong post na to.
Hindi ka edad. Sampalin mo, Sibyl.
I'm such a liar. Anyway, yes,
I was the young
alam ko
one
lahat.
when-
Yeah, yung kulit bulilit, alam ko yan. I watched that religiously. So,
Anong age?
I-
Anong year yun? Joke.
ay nga, ano bang year? Diyos ko,
Parang kunwari, hindi ko alam eh, no? Okay.
1980s? Ano
Oo.
ba?
Oo.
No?
Mga bata pa.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
that show. And then yung Flor de Luna, of course, with Janice de Belen.
Yeah, with Janice,
Diba?
yeah. And
That's
I remember,
it's an iconic show. Oh my God.
I
Yes.
have like vivid memories of, I spent so much time at that time in a broadcast city, I think was the name of the place that we would have the shoot. And there were like different studios. And I remember, and it's funny because back then I just remember the whole thing about Julie, because my mom actually is really good friends with Julie's mom. She was in a show called
Julie Vega?
Annalisa. Yeah.
Julie. Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah, because they were
damn. Wow.
competing. I think we were competing. Not
Yes,
competing.
yes,
I
yes,
guess
yes.
the two big shows, and they're both about this. The young girl, and that was the two like competing shows. So it was kind of like it's just funny, like little bits of memories come back every now and then. I don't know who I was talking to that came up, and I'm like, I remember there was a show called Annalisa, and I remember Julie because I remember like we would, have events together as kids back then. I was the youngest one on set, so I was always younger than them, but it was like I remember like just having gatherings with, and it's actually funny, Jesse, like you said, at the festival this year we had Herbert Bautista's son, right?
Oh, yeah,
In Blue Room, the movie that was at the festival, and it's funny because I was like, oh my God, your dad. Like I remembered, I mean, we were the kids, we were that kids that were working in that,
Wow.
yeah,
Grabe, no? Pero alam mo,
crazy, full circle. Suddenly I
wait,
felt old
Yeah.
when I saw my son. I didn't till that time. I was like, oh my God.
Hindi,
Parang,
at saka
I feel
Bill,
so
hindi lang
young.
yun, hindi lang yun hindi lang yung reason for the first circle, I guess, kasi if you were working in Broadcast City, di ba sa Channel 9 yan dati? Jessie was also working in Channel 9 before.
I know.
Ano nga yun, Jessie?
No way.
No, I was, I don't know, before I decided to come to the US, I was like a hourly newscaster for like
In-
almost a year. So,
channel?
yung every hour, so I'll have like a 1 minute or 2 minutes fame. So I'll read the freaking news and be bored about it because I have to wait for every 1 hour. So 5 hours I have to in RPN 9. Pero during that time, RPN 9, wala namang nanunood. Right, Sibyl? Right? There's very...
No, I don't. I
Was-
actually, honestly,
RPN
don't even remember the channels. Like,
Yeah, Channel 9,
Yeah.
Channel 13, di ba? Mga
Kasi
2,
may
7.
competition sila, di ba? 7 to... Pero
But
kapamilya
9,
tayo.
no,
so.
nobody watched it. And 13. So may ganun eh. Pero
yeah, but
Sibyl,
back then, am I wrong? But back then they didn't really have the whole Kapamilya, Kapuso, all that stuff.
oh,
right? They
no,
didn't
no.
Yeah,
During that time, no.
They don't have the,
Focus
they don't have the
There's no
network wars.
rivalry during that time.
Yeah.
Oo, parang
But-
everyone are
but
equal
I've-
during that time.
I was feeling it, siguro, it was really brewing between the Channel 2 and 7.
They were the major ones.
It was starting. It was
Yung mga
starting. Yes.
80s, 90s, yeah, it was brewing na.
Yes. Oh my. Pero
Interesting. See, I'm learning something from you guys.
So when you came back from, when you decided to come back, or you decided, or your mom decided to come back to the US?
No, my mom decided to
Oh,
come back
your
to the US for me, to bring me back to, to continue school so that I can be more focused in school. But she still let me have like theater, and I was in a dance company and stuff. So,
Oh, so it was really like in your heart. It wasn't like that your mom forced you to
yeah, I
like you.
think so. Yeah, my mom she's not a stage mom. First of all, she was always like, if you want to do that performance, if you're gonna do this, you better make sure your grades are a certain way. Otherwise, you cannot go. Like, if my grades fell down a little bit, I'm not allowed to perform. I'm not allowed to go anywhere. If I have auditions, things like that, she was like the opposite of like stage mom. She's like, no, because she wanted it to be our thing. Like, if we really wanted to do it, we have to kind of work for it,
So what were you studying when you arrived in the US? You high
Well,
school now or
when I
college?
came back, I was in high school. Yeah.
High school.
High
So
school,
were
yeah.
you active in theater in high school or
I
talagang nasa
did.
puso
So
mo
I did theater
na.
in school, and also I did theater in the city because at that time I was in a dance company that was touring us with the Philippine Dance Company of New York, which is an arm of Bayanihan that was here.
Oh,
Well, before that, I was actually doing. I started with Ballet Asia, so I used to dance classical and modern ballet, and then I saw this Filipino dance troupe perform, and I was like, "Oh my God, I've never seen that before!" And they were really beautiful on stage. And then it turns out the artistic director of that dance company at that time was Reynaldo Alejandro, who is a very well celebrated Filipino, author and an artist, and happens to know my mom. So my mom
Wow.
basically said, I was interested in auditioning for the dance company, and I did, and I ended up, doing that instead for a long time, touring with the dance company for
Ang
almost 4
social mo,
Ang galing, no?
you're a ballet dancer.
Alam mo,
I started as a ballet dancer, but I'm not. Apparently, 5'8" is not tall enough. Plus, I'm not like a tiny, skinny girl. Like, it's really hard.
wait,
'Cause
wait,
most
hold on.
ballet dancers,
So,
like,
wait,
dance
ballet
with
dancer-
Gumagano ka talaga, yung ganon?
toes on toes. Yeah, I did.
Wait. Ito a friend ko yun si Sibyl, pero of course, whenever like we hang out or we don't talk about like, that's why I'm learning a lot from you. So, parang ballet dancer, so you mentioned that 5'8" is short for a
Yeah.
ballet dancer?
Well, for that company that I was in,
Okay.
Because everybody was either Russian or African
Oh yeah.
American, so that's why they were all long bodies. Um,
Oh.
and I enjoyed it, but it was different when I did modern, right? So I was enjoying modern more than the classical. And then eventually, it just when I saw that dance company, like I said, I ended up switching. But I kept continuing. At the time, I was doing jazz and stuff because I was in theater, so I was doing musical theater. So when you do that, you kind of have to learn modern jazz and stuff. But yeah, it was a journey.
Ang galing no. So wait, so that
Yeah.
was like you were doing ballet, you were doing dancing first, right? So paano ka nag-start sa I mean, wow, like pagdating sa pagdating po sa producing, directing, acting. I mean, Sibyl is like the epitome of every, like andun talaga siya sa pinnacle. So paano nag-start to, Sibyl? Kwento.
I think kasi, honestly, I've always been helping naman in production because my mom, she's a veteran actress, but she also owned her own production company. So like we're kind of trained to work in her production company. So I have a little bit of experience on the back side or behind the camera side
Okay.
that it was, excuse me, it was almost natural that whenever there's a project, an independent project, my friends, I helped out all the time. But then time came as you're getting a little bit older, like I was realizing that there's not as many roles for me out there, or it seemed like every role that would fit me, there's just like it was so little that so many of us compete for the same thing. And I think after a while you get tired of waiting for things to happen to you, for you I should say, that I'd started
Wow.
to think about doing things that would, that I can do, that I would like to bring my friends that I know should be working and it hasn't been working, and like try to like create a community to work together. And that's sort of what started the conversation of like, why don't you become a producer? And I was at first not taking it as seriously until I got involved with a feature film, the one that Nicholas Brooks directed and wrote, that is the son of Mel Brooks. For people who might know comedy and stuff, he's like the king of comedy here. He's amazing. He's a legend. How do you say no to a project like that? So I was helping that project, and I got and Nick asked me if I could be the full producer for it, which I became the producer, and he was the one who encouraged me that you should start your own production company, mostly for at that time paperwork reasons, but it's also like to encourage me to really dive into it more, more formally per se. And I did, and I took a chance and I went for it, and basically started from there. I was able to actually pick up projects of some of my friends, some of my AAPI friends, some of my, like more POC projects that I felt was like lacking, for a lot of for us to actually see. I wanted to see someone like me, I should say, on screen, right? Like I'm not
Okay.
saying me personally, but someone who looks like me up there. And it's very, it's so rare that we started like creating our own projects, and that's how it started. And it just, kind of from there, thank God. I mean, knock on wood, it's been busy, and yeah,
But
except
during
So,
right
that time,
now
Sibyl,
because of the strike. But
oh
yeah,
yeah,
so Sibyl,
go ahead.
kasi yung sa research nga namin, so you have an SAG card, right? So you started out like acting ka rin dito sa States a little bit, right?
Yes, yeah, I still do. Like I still get called in. So when I get called in, I do go on. So I still do some TV and stuff and some movies.
Sipag, ano nga, I'm just curious. I'm sure ito a lot of the Fil-Ams would want to know that they want to, enter to, they want to start doing showbiz. I mean, like they want to start acting. I know in the Philippines, for as long as, come on, magpakatotoo tayo, di ba? In the Philippines, like, mestiza ka lang, you know how it
I
is,
know.
right? Like
Yeah.
light skin, mestiza, and then if you want to be an actor, an actress, you just have to go and do VTR, and then after that, okay, you can, we'll give you a role here and there. But what's the difference in the U.S.? Is it harder? I know, because one time nagkukwentuhan kami ni Sibyl. Sibyl, I was surprised when Sibyl and Rachel told me, like, even if even if you like a small role, like cameo, you have to audition. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Especially if you have like a speaking part, and we would just say like, what are you doing? You have to audition for that. I was like, why?
Yep.
So, paano? Like, kwento nga, for those people that they're oblivious, obviously. They don't know where to start, how to start. I mean, where to go. Kwento nga paano sila magsa-start.
Well, kung dito, so really it that's a very okay, that's a tough question to answer, right? Like how to
Yeah.
start. I always believe because there's always this idea that anyone can be an actor, which is not the case. Everyone thinks they want to be an actor, which is not always the case. A lot of times, you know how many times since I started producing, especially people know I'm producing, they're like, I want to be in the movies, please, I want to be an actor. And then, once you bring them on set, they can't hack it. So what it is that you have to know if you really want to do this, you need to know that your heart is really in this because 99% of the time you're being rejected. This is the job.
Oh.
It's not like you're always getting you're right. It's very different in the Philippines. It's really funny because for a long time I had trouble auditioning when I first came back here because in the Philippines I never had to audition. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. You just
called,
happen to
you
know my
know,
mom is so popular.
and
Hi,
no,
I'm a
and
nepo
then
baby.
maybe in the
Okay.
beginning, but then I started doing my own thing also. So when I was doing my own show, I get called in to do another show because they already know you, right?
Yes.
Um, so as it is in the Philippines, also it's like if you have a manager that knows people, like you said, like even someone who's not talented, if they're the look that they want, they'll just bring them in, which is sometimes a very frustrating thing because you do have a lot of really talented actors that I've met from the Philippines, and I feel like you don't see their full capacity as actors because they're not given a chance to really stretch their muscles. Because if you're
Yeah.
famous enough, they'll just put you sometimes in things that are just because your face is there, it doesn't matter what the content is, which is kind of sad, right? And as
True.
Yeah,
an actor, really,
they trained them, to
Yes.
be good
yeah,
actors. Yeah.
yeah. Um, not all the time. That's the thing. So I feel like maybe that's the difference of like the time of my mom, like during their time when, at least for me growing up watching them during the PETA days, like I saw how hard these guys worked because I got to see this even as a kid. Like I always was in awe watching them because they rehearsed constantly. They partied a lot, but they also rehearsed constantly.
Sa
They were
theater, no?
always
Oo, oo.
at the theater, and then they go and shoot. Even when they shoot the movie, they always rehearse before they shoot it. Like there's like a very different discipline that when I actually got called to do I did like this film in the Philippines. It was with Rufa, and I remember like watching how that set was on. It's so different, like than what I used to watch when my mom would, Dolphy and them, and like like Nino. Like during that time, it was so different. Like as a kid watching them, how they worked, how their process was, and how it is like the younger, newer one. It was very different. And it didn't feel as involved and as stretched out for the actors, I felt at least. So it's really interesting because I think that now is actually a really great time because I feel like I am seeing more of I guess they call independent filmmakers from the Philippines coming up and coming out
Yes.
and
Yes.
doing projects that are actually a lot more meaningful and deep that I feel like now, like, like even seeing Dolly in the film, like it's like seeing that they're really pushing for cinema again the way it was during that time, like the 70s, 80s. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, there's a lot of bad films. I'm saying like it's just from what I'm seeing, at least on this end, because I don't get to see everything from the Philippines, obviously. But what I see that makes it over here, it's good to see projects that have real stories again, and like actually you see the actors, the directors that work with actors for real. It's just a I mean, that's why you see them go further, obviously, in the international
Yes.
market as they should be. Yeah, which is something we're pushing for with the festival. Like we like getting those projects. I mean, it's great to have a good name there, but if if it's not a strong film, then what's the point? They're gonna get distribution anyway. They're gonna get seen anyway. They're gonna get press anyway. You want to bring the
Exactly.
ones that need help to get noticed and get seen because they should be seen. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to always be just a famous person, but it should be someone really good that you can celebrate, and be
Like
proud of.
audition, they have to. Dito talaga, they have to
For here,
audition.
just like no
Like for
matter
example,
who you are, like I'll say right now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like there's this really big casting director here in New York that does major studio, and she always said to me, um, you know, I love this actress and that actor. I met them. I know they're very big in the Philippines and stuff. I wish that they would stay and they would come here and read for stuff, but I get frustrated because every time we do have something, you know, they don't really like. They'll be like, oh, I gotta go to the Philippines and I'll come back maybe, and I don't
Yun
can't
na
really
nga.
stay. Like it's really sad because they have opportunities to be mainstream here, but because
They have to
they're
go back sa
and
Pinas.
also may ano sila may commitments, their managers book them through a lot of things that they have no, kasi dito like
Oo, yeah.
let's say nasa theater ka, no, and they actually have it now with equity, for example. Meron silang rule na pag let's say kahit ikaw yung main actor, pagka you get a big role in a movie or whatever, they actually will give you, with permission, you ask permission, they'll give you the days you need to shoot that and come back. Yung mga ganon, because they put value in it because they know that it means something.
Okay.
We don't have that flexibility, I think, sa Philippines kasi yung commitments nila very tight with like their brands that they do because
Hindi,
all of them
tsaka,
have brands.
alam mo,
Yeah.
may ganun pa nga sometimes. It's let's say for example, the typical Filipino, if they see the kids are like so mixed and beautiful, blah, blah, blah. So they will always say like, you know what, pauwiin ko ng Pilipinas kasi, so that my son or my kid, like, they can be an actor in the Philippines. And then eventually, if they notice, if he, let's say after a few years, they'll become well known and then he'll come back here to become an actor in the US. So I'm like, why do you have to go home first to hone your talent and then come back here? I mean, if you can really like, train in the US. Because they said like, how true is it? Like, it's harder to enter the showbiz industry in the US compared to the Philippines. How true is that, Sibyl?
It is true as it is. It is true in a sense that if you really have to kind of put in the work, right? When you're here, and that means not just the taking classes and such, but also doing like the legwork for it. Meaning, like if you need to, you have to go out there and get seen. You have to go out there and like if you had an agent or manager, and that's the thing, you have to be on top of your agent and manager because you're not always, unless you have a manager that's so excited about you, that's pushing you, which is the difference, by the way. That's what it is. So representation in the Philippines, I gotta say, their managers there, they keep their talents busy, especially when they're a hot
Yes.
commodity. They keep them busy, and that's something that here is hard to do unless you're making money for your agency or your manager, you might not be on the top of their pile. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, so
So
wait, do you really need to have an agent manager here? An agent is so important?
you don't there. It's an unwritten requirement. Put it that way. It's like you don't have
Oh,
to, but it helps a lot to have representation because when you're going to the studio and network level, especially, it makes a difference to have representation because they're the ones that first of all make the deal for you. They're the ones that push for you, and also the studio and the most of the studios. I shouldn't say all, but most of the studios and network will always hire someone that they feel has some kind of experience already being on set, or at least will be professional. And they're always in the belief that when someone is represented, like a manager or an agent is representing someone, that means someone already vetted them and someone already is like
Yeah,
believing in
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So then it's like another layer. It's just sort of like a safety net
Correct.
almost. They
pero
like
Sibyl,
discovering new talent, but
Sibyl, how important is training? Like, kasi di ba there's some actors, well, I heard some stories like from friends who told me like some of like for example the Filipino actors, right? Let's say they want to come to the US and they believe that they don't need to go to classes because they already know how to act. But I know in the US you need to go through training and spend money for you to learn. So what's the difference? Is it really that imperative?
my mom, I always remember her saying, she always says, when people call her a professional actor, she always says, I'm a professional and I'm an actor. She doesn't like to use professional actor together because to her it means that you feel like you already know everything, and there is no such
Oh,
thing. And as an actor, that is very important that you're open, because for every production or everything that you work on, you need to always have that element of wanting to learn about who you're working with, what you're doing, and where you are. You have to be a professional to be on set, meaning you should be on time, you should know your call, you should know your lines, da, da, da. But it's one thing as an actor yourself, if you're serious, you need to be always curious. You need to always be learning. You need to be open to learn, because the day that you stop wanting to learn, then you're in trouble because, we're human beings. Like you can't be absolute about something. There is no such thing because every day changes. Everyone's different. Things happen. You have to be open to all of those changes. So I think training is important. Training is important to have a backbone because to be a professional, you have to have that.
And in short, wag mo dali ng pagka-diva mo kahit sikat ka na.
You can't. Uy, teka.
Kasi mawawala pag nag-diva ka na, parang wala na. So what's the point? You know what I mean? Like,
Teka, Sibyl. Speaking of diva, meron ka na bang mga na-meet na? Yung mga actors and actresses sa sobrang diva. And if you did, I'm sure a lot. How did you handle it? Sino-sino sila? Joke?
Ay, mamaya gusto ko yan.
Over a drink na lang.
Over drink na lang yun.
Like a dozen of bottle of wine. Yes, how did you deal with it? Like, what is the worst, like experience that you had?
Siguro, alam mo, for me, it's a little bit different kasi nga, I've kind of come from that world because I've seen my mom deal with that, and so I don't really get. I feel the way I see it. If someone is like that, I don't want to deal with them, and I don't want to care. I don't care about them. So, but on set, specifically on set, I think I've been able to deal with a few of them in the past. But basically, this is what I love about being a producer now, because as a producer, I can just choose to like lessen their importance in the film. Do you know what I mean? So I actually can do that. But when I was an actor with another crazy actor, I just, like I said, I try to remain professional. I do my part and I do what I need to do, and I feel like it's on
Wala
them.
namang violent reaction kasi bakit ganito na lang ako?
Ay, teka, ito, Jcas, si Sibyl kasi is one of the, she was the producer of, what is that movie with, dito yung sikat, ano sila, Sasha Padilla.
The Story of Us.
The Story of Us. She was a producer. Actually, she was even one of the cast of The Story of Us. Kwento ka pala sa...
Nakakatuwa lang yun, actually. It's so funny because actually Richard Somas was a director in that one.
Okay.
And it's so funny because when they told me that, do you want to read for this role? I was like, sure. It's just funny because, Sasha is kind of like, sort of a kind of tita, right? In a sense,
yes,
to me.
Yeah.
But then I had to play her best friend to basically play her age, age group in the movie.
I know, it's a big, huge,
and I'm like,
a big gap. Okay.
I look older. I probably look older now, but no, but it was
during
really
that
fun.
time, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun to do that as an actor. As a producer, it was it was difficult because they were coming from the Philippines, and the way I guess TV works there is very different than we work here, and you're working on a series that I guess the way they work in the Philippines, you rewrite things like on the spot.
Yes.
But they're shooting on the other side of the world. And New York is a great place to shoot, but it's a difficult place in a sense because things need to be kind of pre-planned and set. Like here we can't do things like, let's just go to this location instead of that location.
And
you can't
wing it. Hindi pwedeng ganun.
Dapat may permit. Okay.
Kailangan may set ka na ng gagawin at that place. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so medyo difficult in that sense, like in terms of like coordinating it. Kasi iba yung expectation. Plus they had like a crew from the Philippines. So syempre, I know how I know how it is in the Philippines, like the way we have to be very always malambing to each other no matter what.
Yes.
But like in New York, time is literally like of the essence in everything. Meaning like if you're saying this is an hour here, you have to know that you're really an hour here because you can't like be just dilly-dallying because everyone here, time is so important, right? So that was the tricky part, the scheduling and coordinating things because of the little time that they have coming to New York, and then it's winter and then they're traveling back and forth. But I gotta say, I'm impressed that they managed to put the episodes together. They were changing even when we were here.
Changing the script?
Yeah, which I think is typical on the shows in the Philippines, I heard. So that was, to me, a bit of a culture shock because,
Bakit dito hindi? Hindi pwede dito? I mean,
unless you're working on like regular series in a studio. don't really,
Oh.
yeah, it doesn't. But in a studio, that happens because in a studio, everything's controlled, right? So you can easily change scenes and move around. But syempre on location, it's harder to do that. But I gotta say, I'm impressed that they got it done, and the show I think did well, right? From what I
Oh
heard.
yes, the story of us.
So I'm
Yes.
really, yeah, and it was we were all in the trenches, but like we did it together, and I think it looked pretty. It would have been nice to have more of the New York vibe really come through, but I'm not sure if it did because we had some tricky days. It was tough on some days, yeah.
Galing, no? Pero Siba, let's
And
talk
we
about
work
like
here.
so.
Oh, time also, because here you cannot. We have the Department of Labor, as you know, so
Yes.
you cannot
Oo
work
nga,
Oh
yeah.
the hours
yeah.
a day, which I know in the Philippines production can just keep going and going and going. Here you have to be like, no, 12-hour turnaround, like it's required. Otherwise, we could get
I
into
think they're
Get
serious.
trying to
sued,
change.
right?
They're trying to change that in there
I hope
Oh
somehow.
yeah,
so
yeah,
because
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
they
Pero
have some
Sib,
really good people. The crews are great in the Philippines because I got to shoot in the Philippines and I love the people I work there. Like that's why I really hope that they change it for their sake because I think a lot of them are definitely overworked
kasi
for.
importante talaga yun, no? Para hindi
Yung
ma-overwhelm and
kawawa naman yung
ma-overwork.
mga crew, oh. Tapos a lot of them travel for like hours, like they live because I guess getting around Manila is
True.
like hours hours to get
Totoo
around.
yan, totoo yan. Pero Sibel, what about like a Soho naman, Soho film? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So, when did you, as in, ang galing ha? Like, I know that you're like the person behind actually, one of the person behind you and Justin, right? But you're like one of the ano ba, the person that the reason why Soho Film is up there. It's growing and growing because you were like the person behind it, right? So, paano nag-umpisa to? Like, I know Justin started like how many years ago? 8 years ago?
He started in 2009 was when he founded the festival.
He founded the
And
festival.
so
Okay.
Soho
yeah, so
International Film
that's
Festival.
so
Yes, Soho
Right.
Film
international
Festival.
festival,
Yes.
yeah. So he's the founder. That was 2009 that he started the company. I think they presented their first year in 2010. Um, so I knew about the festival. It was started as like this, kind of like they needed space. A lot of filmmaker friends of theirs needed space to kind of like showcase their film because a lot of the big festival that was originally put together, without mentioning names, to help New York and to kind of rebuild after 9/11, um, wasn't seeing as much of the New Yorker independent films, or at least there was a feeling
Yes.
that they were getting left out. So I think that's how the idea started. Like, why don't we put up our own, kind of like mini festival, right? So it was like an event in the loft, like a screening, a pop-up screening, a beautiful event where they had like a lot of different, kind of like artistic events going on, and they had put out a call for films that might want to be screened, expecting to maybe get 20, 30 films to submit, and they might maybe program, I don't know, 5 to 10. They ended up getting, I think, 200 or so films. So it was like a sign that there was a need for it, right? There was a need. There
Okay.
was like not many films that was submitted from New York. So Justin and I should say, we actually, at that time, I was still actively acting as well, and so was he, but he also owned an agency. We bumped into each other at a project, at a set, and we talked about the festival, and he was like, listen, I really would love to expand this and kind of see where we could go with this. Like, can you help me? And I was like, I was very active in the independent space. I was active as acting and producing at that time. So I was like, let's see where we can go. And that's when we partnered up. And the first thing I said to him, I think we need to move into a theater. And he was like, that's what he was thinking. So we went already like in the same,
Yes.
space. So a mindset. So that was the first thing we did was we got a theater. So that's when we moved to the quad. And so the second year was when I fully kind of came on board. And at that time, I had a few like, mini celebrity friends here in New York, that were willing to come and show up and lend their name and be part of the festival. And they did.
Oh
We
wow.
had a few celebrities show up so that, even Michael Imperioli was there. Like, it was nice because then that kind of gave it like levity and like, a little bit more like weight. And so because of that, like it just went into like the next year, away the submissions just kind of like double tripled, and
Oh
so we just from
wow.
there kept expanding, and then eventually couldn't fit with the quad, had to move to Sunshine. so we could have, premieres for like 300 people and stuff. And then now we're at the Village East, so it's just by Angelica because we needed a theater
A
that can
bigger. Oh yes.
accommodate, yeah, for the big premieres, because we started getting more and more premieres, and more films started like wanting to premiere with us and would wait for us to open them. So it really expanded from there, and we're really happy because I'm an independent filmmaker producer as well, so this is my world, and I feel like there's so many voices out there and so many stories that are not getting seen on the world stage, and
Yes.
it's nice to be part of being the ones that put them up there, because a lot of the films that go to the festival do get either distribution or go to the next big festival and like really move forward from there. So I feel blessed in that sense that we're able to find those voices, and that includes the Filipino film filmmakers that we find.
Okay, so when you first started, and then hindi pala. So when you first started, did you have like a hard time, making Soho Film Festival be known, in the whole US, especially in New York? Kasi syempre parang there's already like the Venice Festival, the Sundance Festival, and then there's Soho.
Yeah,
Was this a struggle?
it's still a struggle. We're a grassroots festival,
Yes.
so I think we're lucky because I think at the end of the day, the intention comes through. And I think filmmakers know. They see the work that we put in. They see that they are literally the high, like we put them on the pedestal that they deserve to be on. And because of that, because I applied a lot of the experiences that I had, or I have, I should say, because I still go through it regularly when I go to festivals for my films, right? And I go out there, some great experiences and some really bad ones, and you spend a lot of money, you spend a lot of effort to go to all of these, and then sometimes you go
Exactly.
somewhere and then suddenly you're in a gymnasium, and they would have a pop-up and you didn't know about that, and you made this trip, and
Wow.
it's very heart and gut wrenching because you put so much work and effort to like put your film together, money that most of the time you don't have, right, especially in the independent space. And so those are the kind of things that we want to avoid ever happening in our festival. So we make sure that the films have, the filmmakers get like the VIP treatment. And you've been there, so you see like what we do. We have a
Yes.
nice red carpet for them. We have a photographer. We always official photographers. We have our press that show up. We have like we really like roll out literally the red carpet to make sure that they have, a space where they can have like a proper premiere, and then they're in a gorgeous theater where they can see, we tech everything, the sound, the way the film looks, everything to the T, so that the experience is good, and that's the goal of it. Because um and I think because of that, and for a grassroots festival, we don't have the big marketing budget, as you know, and we don't have like, we can't afford like a big PR agency. This has been through word of mouth, literally, that we've been growing, and just growing and growing from just filmmakers basically telling other filmmakers like, you got to go to this festival, and like we just grew from there. That's why our community is big, and we're lucky because even without the promos and ads, they're there because everyone is telling everybody that they should come, and it's been great. Like, I really
Wow.
thought we would have less people this year because of the
It was a
strike and
lot.
because of
Oh,
the
teka lang.
US,
Wait.
like everything that could go wrong schedule
Ay,
wise happened.
wait. Excited ako next year, ha?
You have
Na
to come
makapunta
to
dyan.
that. You
Because
have
Yes.
I've,
to.
Yes.
I've seen the pictures and the reels and the videos. It looks awesome. And congratulations, by the way,
Thank
di ba?
you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And you
Yes.
mentioned actually yung sa strike nga pala. What's the update on that? Kasi ang alam ko, I thought it was resolved 2 weeks ago.
No, that's the WGA. So the Writers Guild resolved
Okay.
theirs, and then the
Okay.
SAG-AFTRA, which is the Actors Union, went back to the table, and they were making progress until it stumped last week with something pretty major where AMPTP walked away from the table, and it's like a whole, and there's a he said she said kind of thing going on. Um, but I just saw recent, like literally, I think yesterday or today, I got an email that AMPTP is ready to come back to the table. I think, I hope that the pressure from all of my brothers and sisters striking out there, like, they're willing to listen again and to sit down, which is really the biggest thing, is just
Yes.
getting them on the table and listen so we can work this out. So I think they're coming back this Tuesday, to
I
talk.
hope that
So fingers
everything.
crossed. I don't know what's gonna happen by the time you air this, but I hope by that time you'll be able yourselves to put an update that says it got resolved. So we'll see.
Yeah, para
Oo, ang
everybody
dami
would work
nagsasuffer,
already
no?
because kawawa din yung mga actor friends natin, 'di
Pero,
ba?
Hindi lang
Sibila,
actors
yeah.
kasi it's a domino effect. Kasi, if they cannot shoot, it's not just the actors, all your
Yeah,
crew, all vendors,
The
all
the
the
crews,
production,
yeah,
you,
the
the
production,
yeah, the
sitting cat
cast
people
and crew.
production
around.
is sitting. It's just the
Lahat.
sitting right
Pero,
now.
Pati nga yung like locations, like for example, yung mga restaurants or whatever, like
Yeah,
even the food
you're
truck and
right. Yeah,
delivery,
you're right.
exactly,
they
The
all have
exactly.
their
tourism industry, lahat apektado. You're right.
lahat. It is
Apektado, no?
phenomenal, yeah. Yeah.
Pero ito, Sibila, for those people who's very curious, like, what's SAG? Like, what's the difference between, I know SAG is a union, right?
Yeah, it's a
So what's
Screen
the
Actors
difference?
Guild.
Yes. So what's the difference between if you're a SAG actor, actress, and you're not part of it? So, do they? Is it
Union
is
and
it
non-union.
important? Yes, in union and non-union.
It is.
Okay.
Because obviously, as an actor, being in a union protects you, right? Because
Okay.
then you have your rights and protection, and there's like a regulation and what your rates are and stuff. As a non-union actor, a lot of times you're kind of left in the open, and you could be taken advantage of and such. So it is important if you can get into the union. Also, a lot of the major, obviously, studio. We talked about representation before with agents and
Mm-hmm.
managers and stuff. It's the same thing. Like, when projects are with on the studio network level, especially if they're going to hire an actor, a lot of times, they will need you to be in a union, so that it's sort of like it shows that you're a professional actor, number one, and number two, I think it's a required thing, so that because you also have the workers union, you have the IATSE, you have all of these other, and they're all unions, so it sort of just makes it kind of completes the circle per se. Yeah.
Oh, so usually, what do you as a producer, what do you guys usually prefer? Like non-union? Kasi I know meron akong mga naririnig na parang ayoko mag-union. I mean, I want to be independent. So what do you usually prefer as a producer?
As a producer, I don't mind working with non-union actors, but I do, because I always feel like someone has to start somewhere. You have to give the opportunity for them to get to the union. But I do
Ay,
produce a lot of SAG productions myself because I'm SAG, right? So I want to
yes.
protect the union actors. But there's a difference. So there's the actors union and there's the crew union. They have different unions as well. In the independent
Oh,
circle, it's hard to do a union film unless you have a decent budget because it's expensive. Like an
oh, if
independent
it's
producer cannot afford
union.
it. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but
okay.
for the actors, they're a lot more. SAG is more flexible on the actor pay. If you're an independent production, so that's the difference, I think. But when you get to studio network level, there should be no question they should pay all the union workers. Period. You know what I mean? Because they have the budget.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
before you can be part of the SAG, you need to have like a resume, right? Like you need to have
Yeah.
a certain stints, acting stints, right?
Yeah. You kind of
Oh, that's
earn your
really good.
way towards a professional guild card, um,
Okay.
unless you get lucky enough that they find you and you become a lead of something because they cannot find anyone else at all that's like you at all.
Chika,
And then
so
maybe,
baka ano mo na. Baka ano na ni Jcas. Baka turn mo na, Jcas. Maybe
oh,
this is your
ano nga kayo,
calling.
Nick? Baka, i-pull ka na.
Baka ito na
Malay mo
yung
nga,
ano
di
mo,
ba?
time to shine. Right? Like, pero, Sibyl, I'm curious. Uh, kasi ito, alam ko, it's hard for a producer, especially yung mga, who has no budget, but their passion is to create film. So how do they make money? Like, I mean, the reason why I'm asking this is like, I know a lot of people want to do it. That's one of their passion, but just they don't know how to do it. Like, and they feel like, how will I make money? Do I need to ask for sponsors? How will I ask? So, ano nga, give us like a, like a,
Independent
a
film.
gist of yes of
Make.
independent film, like how do you make money and how do you start, kasi yung iba naguguluhan sila, how do they start, how will they start?
Okay. How do you make money is a question I'm asking still.
Yes, 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 yes.
So when someone knows, somebody let me know.
Exactly, okay.
Um, but okay, a lot of people that do this, we're artists, right? We love what we do. It's really about the creative. So
Oh, okay.
you're always willing to put everything and anything on the line to make things happen, to tell your story and to create. You hope that you can, monetize them, obviously. Um, I guess there's no like straight answer to say like this is how you do it and you'll
And
make
there's no
money.
formula.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no formula except to just try to do the right thing when you're putting together your projects, right? You do your research. I mean, it really helps to have someone with a good business acumen. It can't be just all creatives in a project. You have to have somebody who knows about
Mm,
money, who
money.
knows
True.
about strategy, who knows how to to figure out how financing works, how you can leverage things, whether it be tax incentives
True.
from the state, or whether it's like an angel investor versus like your mom and dad giving some of your 401k. Like you need to know how to manipulate and handle that in such a way that at the minimum you want to know. So learning how to have your ROI, your return for your investment, is obviously a whole other level. But
Exactly.
in a project, you really don't know. You're just assuming this could potentially be where it would go. This
Oh,
could potentially be
wow.
where it would make money. That's why sometimes you see like a serious writer director might make a very commercial film, because a commercial film tends to sell, horror movies, slasher,
True.
whatever, action
Yeah.
films, stuff like the comedies. But then, every now and then they'll jump into something heavier. But we need both of those anyway, content wise. Like as an audience, I love watching like my little horror movie here, my comedy there. That's a little bit where I don't have
Your
Yes,
to.
yes,
Mission
yes, yes.
Impossibles. Yeah, we all love
Like,
that.
yeah, exactly. We all enjoy it, so it's okay. Like you have to allow yourself to be able to do that. Don't be, gone are the days where they used to be like, I'm on a tour, I only do this. That doesn't exist. If you want to actually make,
I'm an
make,
artiste.
yeah, I'm an artist, so I cannot do this kind of
Oh
project.
my
It doesn't
God.
exist. You have to be open. I guess it's all about being open and just like being able, and just as long as you still love what you do, I think you find a way. And obviously, I also believe that if you really put that much effort and love in your project, it does shine through, it does come through, and people kind of, they get it, the audience gets it. And that, obviously the more audience you have, hopefully that means that you'll make money, because you'll get more clicks, you'll get more downloads, you'll get more ticket sales, whatever it is. And I'll say,
Okay,
as a
okay.
Fil-Am and as a Filipino, I'll just say, because I gotta say this, if Philippines is hearing this, please, when any Filipino actor project writing is out there in the Hollywood stage, parang awa lang. Even if it's not your thing, even if you don't like it, try not to say bad things about it. Try to support it. Because I'll tell you, Hollywood is about numbers. They don't care if you love or hate something. If the numbers are there, they're going to keep making it. They're going to keep believing in it. And if you want them to highlight Filipino stories, highlight Jokoy movies, highlight things like that, then we need to support it. You don't have to love it. You can just support it, and just
That's
because
true.
even if you're
That's
not
so
the
true.
audience, someone is an audience. You don't, because that's all they care about is metrics. It's the number of people downloading it, the number of people like clicking it. Kasi pag nakikita nila na yung parang sikat yung mga Filipino, parang maraming nanonood, like the Korean films,
Oo
for
nga.
example, they have a big following. They get like, so then Netflix is like, you know what, gawa pa tayo, let's do more, let's produce
They're gonna
more.
contact you, Sibyl, and they're gonna say, Sibyl, round up
Yun na
your
nga.
Filipino crew.
Oh,
Diba?
ito, Sibella,
How you
speaking
do
of
it, kasi
that,
otherwise hindi mo support. Like I remember like some of these films that came out recently, like I hear like two different groups, and I'm like, guys, even if you don't like it, you gotta just support
yeah,
it.
we
And you know
discussed
what?
about
We
it.
we can talk
Yes.
about it at lunch and say things that you don't love, but don't put it out there in the internet that I hate it,
Tama,
because you
kitchen
know
table
what? It
talk,
goes
yeah.
back to it
Exactly.
goes back to the studios, and they're gonna be like, you know what? The Philippines is not gonna support it. And Filipinos don't like this Filipino thing, so why bother? You don't want that. Kailangan
That's good
tayo
to
like
know. That's good
tight
to know.
and close parate.
But
Atin-atin, kahit atin-atin lang. Kasi ganun yung Korean community, ganyan sila. The Chinese, like talagang they're always tight, they support.
yeah, you don't
Kaya,
hear like bad
no,
mouthing their own,
no,
right?
they probably do in the back end, because I've heard them in the back end,
Of course,
but
I
they
think it's
don't
just
put it out
natural, diba?
there.
Expose it
Yeah,
out
Yeah.
there.
kasi it's not, we're not all the same, right? We all have our own minds and our own tastes, and I get it. Pero with Hollywood, kung gusto nyong makitang mas marami pang support sa Filipino brothers and sisters natin, kailangan we have to talagang
We
be
can
like
do
a community.
we
Hold
can
hand in
adapt
hands.
adapt the bayanihan in this
Oo,
level.
talaga.
That's
You have to.
Yes.
Para
true.
bang, basta Filipino, like when Dali was like being nominated, yes. Like everybody's gotta like rejoice that, you know. Or when Joko made his movie, everyone should have been like nonstop tweeting, like, you know, because that's all Hollywood will look at, yung mga hindi Filipino doon.
Exactly.
Yan yung tinitingnan nila because they don't know us.
Kasi
And
ano na nga
they
eh.
might not care to know us. Pero if they see more of us supporting, then they wanna know us. They
Hindi
wanna
kasi
like
nga
get
to
to
think
know
about it, it's already a hit and miss, right? Like creating you know, a movie or any even a series. It's a hit and miss. Like, you know, like maybe you'll make it or you will not make it, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
ito for example, like ito do you know SB19, right? Because I'm an avid fan of SB19, right? Like
I saw
that
their pictures. They're hot.
the P-pop, right? I remember
Philippine
before
K-pop.
they went viral, before they become so popular. I was a fan na. Kasi nga I was like, "Ah, you know what, this kid has potential." But I remember one time I was listening to one of their interview way back, like parang they were like before everyone was trying to ridicule them, like, oh, they're not gonna make it, blah blah blah. As in everyone, it's like maybe 80% were just trying to pull them down. And then when they got this recognition with one of the, I forgot which one. It's not the Gento. There's another one. They were, oh my God, blah blah blah. So everyone are like screaming. Non-Filipinos are like, before like in the end they're not gonna make it. And then ngayon nung medyo na-recognize na, wow, Pinoy proud.
Yeah.
Diba?
Pinoy pride bigla.
That happened a
Bigla.
lot.
Right? Parang nakakaloka. Pero ang civility,
Kaya nga
sa,
eh.
ang ano ko dito, Sibyl, is,
Frustrating.
yes, parang ang point ko dito din, Sibyl, and question also, why do you think there's no, because we know that Filipinos are good actors, actresses, singers, right? Directors,
storytellers.
brilliant, good
Yeah.
storyteller. Pero bakit wala? I mean, look at Parasite. Look at Parasite, right? I mean, I know we can do better, pero why do you think not even one single Filipino film did not make it to the mainstream?
I think I like I said, I think talaga, you know, ang Korean cinema, they really from the government, it starts from the government, from the people. They really like made it a point to
Okay.
package these things, right? They really like they support it fully. 100%. They're behind it. Not just the production company, but literally including the government because they really want to push film, you know, filmmaking from Korea in Hollywood. So that helps a lot, right? Um, I know that we have a film commission and stuff like that, and I know some people in it, and I know that they're trying. I know some of the studios from the Philippines that I know some of the studio heads, and I know that they're trying. I still think we have a tendency, and I guess this is my point about what I'm talking about supporting other artists. There's still a tendency of like kind of having cliques or separate, like kind of like this is our thing, our thing. Like you know, how you said before there were the competition on the stations
Yeah,
and things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Masyadong they put too much importance on that, like you know, competition instead of like
Oh,
doing the like why don't we work
got
together
it.
and make this like push together, right? This is why I'm
True.
like kind of trying to reach out to your audiences maybe that are listening, that at the minimum, at least when they see something, Olivia Rodrigo, even when like, you know, like she's Filipino, like let's show our support. Her, Bruno Mars, like let's just keep showing the support and show that support not just when they're already famous, but even when they're down. When things
True.
actually more so
Mm.
when they're down, when things
Yeah,
are
yeah.
not good. Like for example, I like to use this, you know, example like when Joe's film came out, Joko's film, for example, came out, you know, there
Yeah.
was a time where it was having difficulty getting into like, you know, the metrics. That was the time like we needed like the whole country or the Filipinos all over the world to be just like, let's go. We gotta go check it out. And I know we were making so much efforts here in the US to do it, but I'm not sure if it was happening in the other countries. But because he deserves it. The guy worked so hard, first of all, and the guy's so freaking talented. Like, you know, and it was such a great like attempt to be like on the mainstream, you know, the storyline. So I think we needed to do that, and we need to do a lot of that. We need to do more of that. There's a lot of new indie films, Filipino films that are out there now. We gotta show support to them because
True.
that's the only way I think we can. And maybe by doing it through the people, maybe at some point maybe we'll get further up to like to the government level, I don't know, but we need kind of that push if we want to be at that level, like you mentioned Parasite and things like that, because they're really like they have like a big support behind them, and we
Especially
need
the
that
government. Yeah.
for our films and stuff if we want to get to the international stage, because a lot of the indies that I know that are making it to the international stage right now, they're on their own. They're like working on their own, like working really hard, like really pounding the pavement, like most independent filmmakers do, which is really the all they can do. But when it's out there, we gotta show that we're gonna back them and that we love them, and that there's love for them, so that there'll be more support. Sana, hopefully, diba, dito from the mainstream. So yeah, it's kind of a tough
I know.
question, but to me, I think that's the only thing we can really
It makes
do.
sense. You made a good point.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
talagang we have
It was
to
an aha moment for me to
practice the
like, yeah,
bayanihan.
it's easy for us kasi to criticize. You
Oh
know,
my God, yeah.
tayo pa namang Pinoy, ano tayo, we are a lot of experts at
I know
everything that we see.
everybody's an expert. That's the
Di ba sa
problem.
Facebook, suddenly you're a beauty pageant expert, suddenly you are a film critic, and
Oh my God.
ano ako din, guilty rin ako dyan eh. So, kaya yung ang pinakamaganda magawa natin kung wala nga tayong support ngayon from the government, the Philippine government, is manggaling sa atin, which is what you're saying. Kunyari,
Exactly.
kahit it's not even our cup of tea, let's just seal it for now. Not even
Zip
say
your
anything.
mouth.
Yeah.
Right? And stop
If
like the
if that's
keyboard warrior.
at the minimum that you can support it, then that's it. You know?
Yeah, kasi naman, okay, so we obviously also believe in freedom of speech. So it's not a matter of like, I don't believe we should zip people's, but I think I would just be careful how you, when you don't agree with, let's say you don't love the genre of the film or the show that's up there, right? Even like with Broadway now with Here Lies Love. Obviously, there's opinions, right? Because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the subject matter. I get it. I totally get it. My mom lived through that. So I get it. You know, but this is the first Broadway show.
Exactly.
All
By
the
Filipinos.
No, it's not by Filipinos. That's the problem, I think. That's why it's, a conversation, because, it's written by David Byrne and Fatboy Slim. So
Oh.
it's
Exactly.
not a
Yes.
Filipino
Okay.
written project. I think
It's
that's
not-
why.
yeah.
And I get that concern. But still, when you go out there and you talk about it, you have to think about what you say in terms of like, you should have your opinion. Everybody should have their opinion, because we're people, like, you're smart, you need to know. But you should just understand, this is the first Broadway show that has a almost pretty much all Filipino cast. Broadway producers that are Filipino, like their name is there. Like, this is a pretty big deal for us. Even
Yeah.
though I wish their name is more on the, on
On the
the
bill, on the
on the
poster.
billing
Yeah.
itself. I get it. That's why I'm saying I have my own hesitations on certain things. But I am more supportive than hesitant, because my God, like, look at the producing team, look at the actors that are in it. Like, these are actually Filipino artists and Filipino
True.
Fil-Ams, that are there, and we need to push them
To
up. We
support,
can't
yeah.
bring
It's
them
on
down.
Broadway, for
And
God's
it's
sake.
on Broadway, for crying out loud. So
It's
you know
so
what I mean?
hard,
Like,
to penetrate.
that's why we have, so just be careful. Like, you, of course, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Kaya lang, syempre, pag nagsulat lang tayo, walang tayong masyadong
Be
about to bring
discreet
it
about
down.
it.
Yeah, let's
Wag
like,
wag naman masyado.
pwede mong sabihin hindi ko siya type, pero medyo masaya pa rin. You know what I mean? Like, kung yun yung opinion nyo, para
Yeah,
lang hindi,
true.
so it doesn't take somebody down. It's not like harsh, you know what I mean? Kasi we don't
Yeah.
deserve, I don't think anybody, first of all, deserves that, or anything
At saka,
doesn't deserve that kind of.
Yeah, at saka Sibyl and Jay, 'cause I noticed too, majority of those comments, kasi I've been, like, especially like Here Lies Love, a lot of people are doing like gaslighting. They're sort of like, they're not aware that they're gaslighting. They're campaigning to everyone that, hey, let's say you wrote your opinion, you're very opinionated, right? And then a lot of people will start reading it, and then instead of like making their own opinion, they started to like agreeing about it. Oh, you know what? I think you're right. And then it's gonna be a domino effect.
It's
That's
gonna, it's gonna pile up
right? It's like, oh, seriously? I mean, instead of
without
just
even
like,
seeing it yet.
I thought you like it, and now it's like,
Yes,
you know what?
exactly,
Nabasa ko dito
Jay,
eh. Yeah, parang feel like, tama yung nabasa ko dito. I read this,
Wag,
this,
wag,
this.
wag
You
nyo
know
naman
what? You're
sabihin na
right.
wag nyo nang panoorin. Wag nyo nang end ng ganon siguro if you're gonna write anything
Right,
or say
like,
something about it. You know.
Exactly. My God, that's why we're so
Yeah.
proud that Sibyl, that you're there, like to push, and you're like one of the advocate like of the Filipinos, actors and actresses, all the talented Filipinos, like Soho Film Festival. Because ever since when Sibyl and I spoke about it, I was like, wow, I'm so glad that you're there representing the Filipino
that we have a Filipino
Americans.
American on that
Yes.
stage we're in. It's an
Sobra.
international
So proud, so proud.
award-giving body, and promoting not just Filipino films, could also promote Filipino but international films. Now,
Exactly.
ang question ko dyan is, how about example is I'm a filmmaker, then I'm an independent filmmaker, and I have my own small film. Should I just, and I'm considering sana mapalabas din to sa So International Film Festival. So do I just contact you and you guys will try
What
to
is
see
what
it
is your
and-
criteria? Yes.
Yeah, may criteria ba kayo?
Well, yeah, we have a submission just like any festival. We have a submission. We usually Film Freeway is what everybody, filmfreeway.com is what most film festivals use, like us. And I'll say that I make, I'll tell you, I program the festival. So I really make a very conscious effort to look for a Filipino film. But with that said, I'm also proud to be Filipino and be a filmmaker. That, of course, just because you're Filipino doesn't mean that you're definitely in. Like, I have to make sure that I hold you to the same standard as I would, hold myself
Yeah.
or the other
Exactly.
filmmakers, right?
Yes.
And I have had that situation where I feel, and it's funny because when I've been in those positions a couple of times already, where I've had Filipino films that were submitted to me that just didn't meet that
Standard.
it's hard to
Is
use
that
the word
standard?
standard because
Oo,
because
yeah.
like when you
Standard
say
is such
standard,
a vague word.
some like
Yun na nga.
to use the standard,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't fit, I should say it doesn't fit the program is the right
Yes.
word.
Ayan.
Exactly.
Ayan.
Or I've also gotten films where it just wasn't ready at the point that when they sent it to us.
Mhm.
So I have worked with filmmakers in the past who say, listen, it's not going to work at the festival this year. You're Filipino creative. I really want this to succeed. So maybe if you're open, if you're open to notes, I'm, fine. If not, like, it's okay. Because if it doesn't fit in our stage, it doesn't mean it doesn't fit somewhere else. So I've had films where we did not accept them. And it makes me sad that I couldn't accept them because, I only have a certain number of slots that I have to fill. And it's an international festival. If it was a Filipino festival, it's very different because I have so much more. But it is an international festival, so I can maybe put one or two Filipino features. Like this year, we had 2 features because one was competing from the Philippines in the international program, and then one was competing as a U.S. A film because it actually is an American-made film, the one that Casey did, even though it's a Filipino, mostly Filipino cast. But I've had that difficult conversation because I want them to put their best foot forward as well. So I try to help. So I've had films where it didn't fit the program, but I helped them, hopefully, like by giving advice and pushing them to the next step and going to the next level that have succeeded after, So it's hard because, like I said, I wish I had room for everyone.
True.
Hopefully, as we expand because now we have our nonprofit side that's opening, my goal is to expand our program through there because then this way maybe we can do like mentorships and stuff, which is what we're looking to do more of. So, and of course, I can't I will always want to try to help my Filipino American creatives and AAPI creatives in general because I'm really trying to advocate for Asian Americans and Asian American Pacific Islanders. So that's my big goal and big push, and we just gotta keep hitting down, pounding
Like
that pavement,
pushing and pushing. Yeah.
and help
Yeah.
support each
Mangyayari
other.
yan. Let's
Don't
support
tear
each
each other
other.
down. Just support. Like for
Wait,
example, just
the-
because someone's not in the festival doesn't mean we're not gonna keep pushing them. We'll push them.
I'm
you know?
curious kasi I know this famous director and a known director filmed made a feature film pero used his phone only, his phone camera. Are you guys allowing that too? For example, if somebody did that or if somebody was doing that?
We had a film this year that was actually shot on a phone.
iPhone?
On a phone.
I
okay.
believe he used the iPhone, yeah, but with professional lenses, professional everything, like everything was shot. You didn't even know that it was shot on film.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a professional.
So pwede pala yun, guys.
Yeah.
ah.
So it's really about the content. and what
Arte-artehan
you
nyo
put
lang, guys. Basta artehan nyo lang.
Artehan nyo lang,
Oo.
yun.
Hindi pwede yung mga TikTok nyo lang tapos pinagsama-sama nyo lang. Huwag nyo isasabit kay Sibyl yun, ha?
Sibyl, ito, meron akong 2 questions before. I know, si JV sabi niya, uy, 1.5 hours na, ikakat na tayo ng TFC. No,
Ang haba ng tulog
ikakat
niya,
na tayo.
tumigil siya, ha?
Kasi usually 1 hour lang ang TFC eh. So they're gonna cut like
tama.
some of this
Oo.
conversation.
We have to be professional.
So maybe, baka ito hindi ikat ng TFC. So ito, my first question to the last, all right? First is, for example, like, a person that, kasi ito, I'm sure a lot of people, because a lot of people ask me, like, oh, Jessie, meron pala kayong mga, connections sa the film industry, right? Kahit nga TV commercials and everything. So, anong gagawin ng anak ko? Gusto niya mag-start ng, makapasok sa isang TV commercial or isang indie film. So, what is the first thing, let's say, for example, si Jcas, what is the first thing they need to do?
Si Jcas.
Oo, si Jcas.
Di ba
Oy, gusto niyan. Pangarap
child
niyan.
star yung question mo?
Pangarap
Tapos
niyan.
ako yung
Pangarap
example
niyan.
mo. Okay
Pangarap
lang,
niyan.
para naman ako
Okay.
nakagive ngayon di ba?
Exactly. So anong gagawin ng mga, ng mga, especially like the kids or whoever, like, what is the first thing that they need to do?
Well, oh my God, okay. So first of all, if kids, just be careful. Like, make sure that your kid actually wants to be an actor and not the parents who want their kids to be actors.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of that. Okay, because I'm casting kids right now in the movie, and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of the parents that I think wanted to be the kids to be actors.
The parents' dream.
You can't deny it. They're crying all day.
Yes.
No, exactly. And the kid's like, okay, but so you have to training, number one. So that's why it's always good to put them. I'm a firm believer as an actor, theater is still the best place to start. Get them in a children's theater. Get them in a theater program where they can like really hone their skills. Because in theater, you get so much discipline. You learn discipline in general working as an actor that once you go on set, film, and TV, it's like nothing because that's like a shorter version of what you do when you have to do something in theater. Because it's a live show versus like, oh, let's get snippets of this, snippets of that. So it's really, I think training is really important. But with kids, if you're talking about kids, please be sure that your kids actually really want to do. That's my number one and probably only rule I would give out there, because there's a lot of children out there that really you can tell that they don't want to do this and they're being pushed into it, and that's not okay. And it comes through, and you're just gonna like have a miserable time fighting with your kid for no reason, because it's not gonna go there anyway eventually, But when your kid is meant to do this or really wants to do this, you'll know. I was a child actor. I always
yes. Do they need to have like an agent right away? Do they need to have an agent, or
it's always helpful? It's always helpful because an agent also protects them. That's a thing with kids. It's always good to have someone, or a manager, even a manager, because a manager can make sure that the protection is the interest of the child.
Hindi talaga pwede ang momager.
Dapat talagang professional.
Unless you have a mom that's actually a
well-connected.
Yeah, a real business.
A good manager talaga. And a professional one.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Kasi it's
there's no use, no? Pag yung tipong pinipilit mo lang, no? Parang, you have to act. Otherwise, I'm not gonna give you allowance for...
You're
talagang patay.
Let's send you to the Philippines and let's make a commercial.
Mga ganon, no? Okay. But second question ko naman, before we enter si Jcas na my next question. So what's the plan? Like, how do you foresee Soho Film Festival in like the next 5-10 years?
I mean, we hope to be like the go-to in New York. That's really our goal for independent filmmaking. It's what we've been going for. It's what we've been doing. It's been a community, and we just hope to build it, as big a community as we can for the filmmakers, and hopefully that will also encourage more filmmaking in New York and really tell good authentic stories. So
sana, no? Nako, we're crossing our fingers, but at the same time, we're claiming it for you, girl. We know. Like, it's gonna be
we're
up
manifesting
there.
that.
Manifesting. Ayan. So, ikaw naman, Jcas, tatanungin mo ba yung famous pang Miss You?
Oo, kasi Sibyl is wearing a lot of hats and has gone through a lot of experiences in her personal and of course in her professional life. Kitang-kita mo naman, 'di ba? Advocate siya ng arts. at ng Filipino Americans creatives dito sa States, diba? So, gagawin kitang beauty pageant ngayon dahil dyan si Bill. Diba, ang ganda ng segue ko. so, si Bill, if you were given a chance to travel back in time and then talk to your younger self, younger Sibyl, what are you going to tell her?
What am I gonna tell her? Oh my God, there's so much I need to tell her.
Dinam talaga lahat. Girl. Girl.
Oh my God, girl, let me tell you something. Okay. No, you know what? Actually, it's simple. Find your tribe and know your tribe.
Oh, I
like
love that.
We've
I'm
never
gonna
heard
use
that before.
What is it?
Wow.
Find your tribe and know
Your tribe and find your tribe.
So find them and know them. Yeah. Because
ako alam ko yung sa akin, aboriginal yung sa akin, so hanapin ko sila. Ang tangay, no? Yun ang pagkaintindi ko sa tribe. No,
I know, right?
ang English. Know your people, know your friends, know your people who love you and you love, and be with them. Diba?
Yeah, kasi honestly, you cannot live your day every day, worrying about who's gonna hurt you and how you're gonna get hurt, and you gotta just live your life.
True.
Life is too short. If you know who you trust and who really has your best interest at heart, if you know them, then you're free to just be open. Because when you're open, good things happen. I mean, even with the bad things that do happen, it's easier to let it go. Kasi mas open ka to the positive things that come to you. So when you know those that you actually can trust around you, then you feel free because you know someone's always there looking after you.
Tama na. Tama na mga backstabbers. Tanggalin sa inner circle po yan. Word of the day namin yan. Inner circle.
Oo, mga inner circle. That's why I'm so glad that, kami ni Sibyl, our path have crossed again after so many years. No? Kasi we're meant to be friends, girl.
Ay, nako. Pag nakita na tayo, Sibyl, pag nakita na tayo, part na ako ng inner circle mo, wala ka na magagawa.
Naging four na siya.
Na tayo, kasi Tres Marias lang kami ngayon. Tres Marias plus JCAS.
Pag-isipan natin yan kung paano ako, di ba?
Oo. Naging JCAS and friends.
The Tres Marias and the Creature. We'll do good. We'll find a better name, di ba?
Oo. My God. Sibyl, before we let you go, I know it's a 1.5 hours. Pasensya na po, TFC. Yeah. Do you have any last message to everyone? And of course, please feel free to promote anything. Yung mga upcoming shows mo or upcoming new adventures.
Productions
or ventures,
or
yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, for me lang talaga, besides the festival, I have a couple of series that I'm working on. I have a film that's out now that I produced called Follow Her. Pero I think more than anything, pakiabangan lang. Keep an eye on the projects that go out. My company, Sitting Cat Productions. Pero also, honestly, mas gusto ko just to know na you're out there supporting all the other Filipino Fil-Am, creators. Kasi we really need each other right now. I think this is our time. It's our time to be known, to be noticed. We've been here, even for us Fil-Ams who are here, that for some reason still don't get seen. We're here. So we want to make sure that the people that we're around know that we're here. So with your help out there to just kind of help promote each other and support each other, I think talagang we end up helping sort of a greater good kasi it's about all of us being represented in the world kasi we're here and we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We've been here before the Pilgrims. I was born and raised here and I didn't even know that till I was an adult that Filipinos were in the US even before the Pilgrims.
Oh,
so things
what?
like that. You didn't know that? Oh, CJ, because you learned something new.
Ang dami kong
1500.
alam. Wow.
We were here in the 1500s. So, see those little tidbits of information, guys, yung mga nanonood dyan, i-look up nyo yun kasi I think even sa Philippines, pag alam nyo na ganyan yung history natin sa ibang bansa, I think it really, it creates more pride. So we know na talagang nandito tayo matagal na. We have a long history. We have we have strength to stand and still be here and represent ourselves and have an independent country, considering how small a country is. It's really things to be thankful for and that we should all be very proud of. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Nauna pala
Grabe,
tayo
ang
dito.
dami.
Oo.
Una pa
Dami nating natutunan, ha?
Ano, 1500, nagkakaraoke na pala tayo dito sa States. Nauna tayo,
Oo.
diba? Sa mga pilgrim.
Kumakuratsa na pala
Diba?
tayo. Grabe, alam mo si Bill, we're friends pero ang dami kong natutunan. I've learned a lot from you.
Ako din
and
from
mga
listening to you guys.
I
Ang
know,
dami
and-
ko- I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like,
I know, mga trivias, no? Grabe. Imagine mo pag, my God, kasi pag nagdi-dinner kami si Bill, sige, 1.5 hours lang, biglang, shit, we have to work tomorrow.
I know.
Biglang
naku, si
5
Bill.
hours na pala kami
Si Bill, magsisisi ka. Pag nakita mo na ako, kasama ako sa dinner, puro mga kalokohan yung mga
mga green
natutunan
jokes.
mo.
3 hours, no, yung 10 hours na.
My God, that's why we need to, sayang di ka nakasama yung grape stomping, no? Kasi we had like a long time. We need to have like a long weekend. Like
Sige,
before ka magbakasyon, I know like next year you have a lot of like vacations. I mean, hindi pala, mga business trips. So
I'm
before
going to
that,
the Philippines, so excited.
yes, before that, basta Rachel, you, and I, and of course JCas, Carlos, the two Carlos, di ba? And si Direk, we will have like a long weekend, like a Friday to Sunday.
Yeah,
Yan.
let's find another fruit to stomp on.
Yes. Like, yeah.
Ano naman, durian. Ay, kasi Fil-Am tayo. Fil-Am
Durian
advocate.
kasi, no?
I was gonna say durian too. That's so weird.
Or
I was
langka.
Oh my God.
God.
Mabaho na, masakit pa sa paa. Tinamay mga
Ano ba
idea ko, di ba
yan?
walang kwenta? Diba?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Bastos ka talaga, Jay. Kasi akala ko ano, mabaho na yan. So anyways, maraming salamat, Sibyl. Grabe. Guys, I hope marami kayong natutunan ngayong War Night. Ang dami naming natutunan kay Sibyl. Saka yung mga, yung mga gustong mag-artista po, ang dami ng natutunan namin kay Sibyl.
Ayan, dami
Good
mga
luck,
tips and
girl.
criterias po.
Yes. At saka nandito kami, Sibyl, like supporting you all the way.
Yes.
Kahit ano yan,
And
24/7.
I watch you guys. I support you guys. Yeah. And yung mga nanonood ngayon, spread the word para manood din sila. Para they can
Yes.
keep supporting Jessie and JCas. You have to
Yes,
see the show para spread yung word.
Nako, maraming salamat,
Ayan,
Sibyl. Ang
salamat.
ganda ni Sibyl, grabe.
Oo nga.
Oh my God.
Tangkad pa
Diba?
niya, girl.
Oh
Girl, JCas, pag nakita mo si Sibyl, gaganon ka talaga, ha? Hindi, ako lang pala, kasi matangkad ka rin. Una,
Sabi
ano
lang
kasi,
dito, ano na lang yung lights na lang lahat.
oh, una, ano
Oo.
kasi ko kaya si Sibyl gumaganon ako lang.
I'll make sure na pag nakita tayo dun sa 31st, dalawang beses ako maliligo para makaleveling naman ako, di ba?
Yes.
Magkukuskus talaga ako.
Oh my
Kaya,
God.
ayan. Kaya, ladies and gentlemen, mga ka-OAGOT, salamat po.
Yes.
Thank you very much for watching and enjoying this episode. Don't forget to share this amongst your friends and family. And also, thank you sa ating mga subscribers ng TFC, the Filipino channel, for watching. And also mga streamers natin sa I Want TFC. Huwag natin kalimutan ang ating mga communizens sa
Yes.
ABS-CBN's FYE Channel in Kumu. And also ang ating mga pasahero, driver at konduktor sa buong Pilipinas sa Jeepney TV. Ayan, ang aming
Yes.
idol. Oh my God. Sibyl Santiago, thank you very much
Maraming
for giving us your
salamat.
time, for letting us get to know you better and giving us a little glimpse of the film industry as well. Ayan.
Yes.
Mag-last toast tayo, guys.
Yes.
Ayan.
Ayan.
Mga ka-OAGOT, amidst the challenges of life, let's still find ways to be happy. Let's all talk about it over a glass or two.
Bye. Good night, guys. See you tomorrow,
Bye. Thank
Sibyl.
you.
Bye. Mwah. Thank you so
Thank you.